You're right on time for Hope TV Newswatch on this 23rd day of January 2023. A very good evening to you and welcome to the broadcast. My name is Kennedy Kimani and on the sign language interpretation tonight is Boniface Murithi. Now later on in the bulletin we'll be having a discussion on matters taxation with our guest for tonight, Eric Mukono, who is a functional consultant at Great Tricks Africa. Do you think Kenyans are being taxed more? Talk to us at HopeTV_KE and at Kennedy Kimani_ on Twitter. The hashtag to use is HopeTV Newswatch. Now let's begin our bulletin tonight with matters education. And learners in primary schools have on Monday reported to school for the first term of the 2023 academic year. According to some of the parents, this has meant more pressure on them amid increase in the school fees. Parents accompanied by their children flocked to bookshops and uniform stores to purchase merchandise ready for the new academic year. Dolly Muregi begins our bulletin with the following report.
After 2 years of disruption of the country's education calendar by the COVID-19 pandemic, normalcy resumes after schools open for the first term beginning today. Confronted by harsh economic times, parents are now struggling to raise fees for their children. Despite the myriad of challenges, parents in several parts of the country were on Monday in a last-minute rush to prepare the children ahead of the opening. A close check at the Savannah's bookshop in Nairobi, parents and guardians flocked in the bookstore to purchase for their children's school items. George Aling is among thousands of parents caught up in the last-minute rush to prepare the children for the new academic year.
Right now I have two baskets, one for PP2 and the other one is for grade 2. My daughter is going to grade 2, my boy is joining PP2. So I have the two baskets, so I'm doing the shopping for the two. Last time I beat, they are a bit expensive. That one I can't deny, the price is a bit expensive compared to other, because like this basket alone, you'll find this one alone goes for 7,000, the other one is also 7,000 almost. Even it's less, they are 6,000 and something, but almost the same amount to shopping for the two.
The school calendar reverting back to normal from today after 2 years of COVID-19 disruption as it used to be. According to Eric Munene, the books are expensive, but there's no choice but to purchase for his child.
Kuna watoto wawili, mmoja ako grade 1, mwingine anaenda PP1. So vitabu for now inakuwa ni noma, sababu unajua tumefika tamati ya mwaka. So pesa mingi wazazi wanakuwa wametumia na Christmas. Alafu unajua venye wa Kenya wanapenda last minute. So sasa hizi ndio tuna rush kuja kufinalize. But furaha yenye tuko nayo ni kwamba sasa hizi term zitaongezeka like last year. So tutakuwa na time ya kuprepare.
However, the student transition to junior secondary school this month will not be required to pay any fees according to the Ministry of Education. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu last week said that the government has already set aside 15,000 for each of the over 1 million grade 6 pupils who signed the KCP exams in November last year.
The government will spend 9.6 billion on capitation grants to runners of junior secondary school for term 1 and term 2 of 2023, with each of them receiving an individual capitation of 15,000 per year.
Thousands of continuing pupils have reported to school, while the students joining junior secondary of only 1 week to report to school on the 30th of January this year. Dolly Muregi for Hope TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Dolly, for that report. Now to matters politics. And the Azimio la Umoja coalition has yet again rejected the outcome of the 2022 presidential elections, saying that they will not recognize what they term as President William Ruto's illegitimate presidency. Speaking at Kamukunji grounds in Nairobi on Monday, after jetting back to the country from South Africa following a series of meetings in his capacity as the AU representative for infrastructure and development, Raila Odinga stated that he and his party have disregarded the results announced by the IBC, noting that the system was compromised.
Thousands of Kenyans gathered at the Kamukunji grounds in Nairobi as Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga would later give his sentiments over the presidential results of the August 9th, 2022 polls. Raila, who jetted back to the country after holding meetings in South Africa as the African Union representative for infrastructure and development, dissented the outcome of the elections, noting that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission rigged the votes in favor of his rival, President William Ruto. Addressing the mammoth crowd that gathered at the grounds, Raila castigated former IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati, Commissioners Abdi Gulie and Boya Molu, as well as the Commission's Chief Executive Officer Marjan Hussein Marjan for tallying false results. He noted that various foreign technology companies cooperated with the IEBC to rig the elections in favor of Ruto.
We know that the foreign technology companies contracted by the IEBC to run the elections and print the ballots was central to the rigging of the elections. That is why they and the IEBC refused to provide us with the servers and the authentic data as well as the election forms. We also noticed with dismay the involvement of some foreign nations in the rigging of Kenya's 2022 elections.
He further purported that reports given by various whistleblowers revealed that he had a stronger foothold in various parts of the country, and this portrays that the current government won the elections through corrupt means.
According to the IBC whistleblower data, we won handily with over 2 million votes. Allow me to make a few observations about the data. Niendelee. First, we carried the traditional strongholds of the coast, western, northeastern, lower eastern, Nyanza, and Nairobi with comfortable, often overwhelming margins. But it was our performance in the Mount Kenya region where we broke all records. The people of the mountain voted for us as they have never done before.
At the same time, NARC Kenya party leader and Azimio co-principal Martha Karua, while echoing Raila's sentiments, noted that the Ruto-led administration is operating in corrupt means, citing the withdrawal of charges against various high-profile graft cases by the Director of Public Prosecutions.
Mkumbuke ya kwamba uongozi ambao ni wa kimababu wameharibu nchi yetu. Kesi za mabwenyenye zinaondolewa ovyo kwa koti, wezi wanawachiliwa, wanyakuzi ya mali ya umma wanawachiliwa, wanyonge wamewachwa jela. Hatutaki uongozi ambao ni wa mapendeleo, ambao kuna upaguzi. Tunataka haki kwa kila Mkenya.
Mnaona sasa Kenya imepata mwelekeo mpya. Yale Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga amezungumza haiwezi kuongezwa lolote. Yangu ni kusema asante na tunashukuru Mungu amempa safari njema ya kurudi. Sijui alipokwenda kule Johannesburg alikula nini. Amekuja Raila mwingine.
Leo tuko hapa kusema jambo moja, ya kwamba the fight for the heart and soul of our nation begins today. Na Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga yale amenena hapa, mimi niko hapa kutangaza wazi ya kwamba mimi Eugene Wamalwa na timu yetu ya Democratic Action Party of Kenya tunamuunga baba mkono.
The rally comes just a few days after an IEBC whistleblower allegedly claimed to have evidence which showed that the results were tallied in favor of President William Ruto. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Tiffany Womboy.
Thank you, Tiffany, for that report. Now, President William Ruto has hit out at Azimio Party leader Raila Odinga for terming his presidency as illegitimate. Speaking today in Kiambu County during the burial of Pauline Kuria, who is the sister to CS Moses Kuria, the head of state told the Azimio faction that they should forget about handshake.
Unajua, ambiwe, you can fool some people sometime, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. Hiyo maneno yake tunaijua. Na wanapiga kelele pale, wanasema ati unga iko juu. Sisi tukiingia, tulikuta iko juu kama ilikuwa chini. Si yeye alikuwa na uhuru kwa serikali. Si Uhuru alisema ndio mshauri yake. Sasa anatukemea ati iko juu. Yeye hawa ndio walipandisha unga. Sasa nasema ati yeye alishinda uchaguzi, ati hapa kwa mlima ati ndio alikuwa namba 1. Sasa mimi nimesikiza hiyo mzee, naona iko shida pahali. I think we need some help. Kwanza huyo dada yetu vile anaongea, Waiguru, I don't know what you do. Our sister, she's had some iko maneno.
Wale jamaa wa system kwa sababu wamechanganyikiwa, wamekwama, wamerudi katika ile maneno tena ya maandamano. Ile system yao na deep state yao haikuwasaidia. Nimesikia wakisema ati wanataka Saba ifunguliwe. Sijui wanaishi nchi gani. Chebukati na IBC walifungua Saba zamani. Form 34A kutoka every polling station iko kwa portal. Form 34P iko kwa portal. Form 34C iko kwa portal. Hii Saba wanasema kuuliza ifunguliwe ni Saba gani? Unajua hawa watu wamezoea giza na ukora. Sijui kulikuwa na giza, kulikuwa na... Saa hizi tumemulika kila mahali, wamekosa mahali ya kujificha. Ndio hawa wanasema ya kwamba sijui hawatambui nani. Sasa mimi nataka niwaulize hawa marafiki zetu, my friends, si hata mbadilishe tactic kidogo. Sasa ile ya zamani mnaendelea tu naye. Ile ya zamani mlisema ati Moi hakushinda, Moi akakuwa rais. Mkasema Kibaki hakushinda, Kibaki akakuwa rais. Mkasema Uhuru hakushinda, Uhuru akakuwa rais. Sasa mtawezana na hii ya hasla kweli?
And still much as politics, and President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua on Monday hosted politicians allied to the Jubilee Party at State House in Nairobi. In a tweet after the meeting, President William Ruto stated that they must build a bigger and better team that will work together to effectively prosecute the agenda of the people of Kenya, adding that they cannot move the country forward by leaving others behind. The meeting comes days after DP Gachagua extended an olive branch to Jubilee MPs at the Harambee House Annex, where he urged the politicians to work together irrespective of the political affiliation. Among those in attendance included the East Africa Legislation Assembly MP Kanini Kega and lawmaker Sabina Chege. Moving on, President William Ruto has signed the IBC Amendment Bill into law. The bill, which was considered and passed by the Senate last week, sought to alter the composition of the selection panel that oversees the filling of vacant positions in the IBC. The signing means the allocation of the Parliamentary Service Commission will reduce from the current 4 to 2 out of the 7 members of the panel. It further allows the political parties' liaison committee to each nominate 1 member to the panel. This translates to a panel that will consist of 1 member each drawn from the Public Service Commission, political parties' liaison committee and the Law Society of Kenya. The Parliamentary Service Commission and the Interreligious Council of Kenya will each have 2 members. And former IBC commissioners Abdi Gulie and Boya Mulu have today faced the Agri Muchulule-led tribunal probing the Terera 4. The former commissioners gave their testimonies on the conduct of Commissioner Irene Masit, who is accused of misconduct during the 2022 election period. Abdi Gulie said that the commission was persuaded to alter the election results by moving votes the candidate has won with to rejected votes, noting that transferring votes to the rejected slot will create a parity that will necessitate a runoff.
I swore to uphold the Constitution and all the laws of the country. And I swore to God to do that. And my conviction was, I live by my oath of office. And if the process that we all oversaw for the 6 days resulted in a particular result, I was ready to live with that result and defend it.
It happened when we had the meeting with the NSAC team at the Boma CEO's boardroom office. We had a delegation from NSAC. They asked us to ensure that what we are about to do, the announcement of the leading candidate, according to them, should not happen. If it happened, then it will jeopardize the stability of the country. So they asked us to force runoff or declare Azimio candidate as the winner. And each one of us were given a chance to comment. 4 of our colleagues agreed with the NSAC that we must.
Commissioner Irene, what was Commissioner Irene Massid's position?
Yes, she was part of the 4 who have supported the NSAC position. Myself and Commissioner Gulie dissented, and the chairman.
Now, the Council of Governors has raised concerns over the delayed disbursement of the equitable share of revenue to county governments amounting to 103.1 billion shillings. The governors have lamented that the delayed disbursements have affected service delivery in counties to a point of paralyzing operations and especially essential services. And as our very own Grace Ahati now reports, the situation has resulted to workers in most counties serving their respective governments with the notices of industrial action.
The Council of Governors Finance, Planning and Economic Affairs Committee has decried the delayed disbursement of revenue to county governments, which according to them has immensely affected service delivery at the county level. Addressing the press after holding a discussion with National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, the committee's chairperson Fernandes Barasa called upon the ministry to expedite the disbursement of the outstanding balances without further delay. Barasa has noted that there's need for a long-lasting solution to be reached with regards to the perennial delays.
We cannot afford to have counties waiting for 3 months plus for us to get our funds. So I thought it's important to highlight that matter because we have talked about it. And what we are looking for as the Council of Governors is a long-lasting solution with the National Treasury on how we can resolve this issue once and for all so that it doesn't become a perennial issue month in.
The leaders also held a discussion on the draft 2023 budget policy statement that was shared for their comments on the 19th of January 2023, in which they noted that the council does not agree with the National Treasury's projected allocation to county governments of 380 billion shillings for the financial year 2023-2024 as equitable share of revenue. Among other reasons, they have stated that the allocation is pegged on financing constraints as opposed to the budget which negates the desirability of stable and predictable allocations of revenue as stipulated under Article 230, Section 1J of the Constitution.
Either the National Treasury has allocated revenues to national government ministries, MDS and other state departments, monies which of course are supposed to go to the counties. We have the functions being done at the county levels, and yet the allocation of budget in the next financial year has been done to the national government and MDS.
They have also noted that the allocation is based on the audited and approved revenues of the financial year 2017-2018, which does not meet the constitutional requirement of the most recent audited accounts of revenue received and as approved by the National Assembly.
When you look at the financials for 17-18, the total revenues is 1.4 trillion, but the correct basis is the 1.7 trillion Kenya shillings as per the recently audited financial statements and approved by Parliament, which is the 19-20 financial year.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Grace Ahati.
Much appreciated, Grace, for that report. Now, the Food and Agriculture Organization has urged the arid and semi-arid land counties in the country to prioritize water among the top development agenda in a bid to help the organization mobilize resources needed in the fight against climate change. FAO says over 4 million Kenyans have greatly been affected by climate change in the country, a move that has seen them upscale programs geared towards empowering and building communities' resilience towards climate change. Our very own Gloria Musimbe with more on the story.
The United Nations system is keen at promoting food security following the findings of the Food and Agricultural Organization FAO, stating that over 4 million Kenyans have greatly been affected by climate change, a move that has seen them upscale programs geared towards empowering and building communities' resilience towards climate change. Speaking over the weekend during a water commissioning project in Taita Taveta, FAO representative to Kenya, Kala Mokavi, said apart from the water component, the UN system is also keen at promoting food security and nutrition with currently funding programs aimed at commercialization of feed and fodder production. Mukavi said this will help create job opportunities in the counties of Taita Taveta, Kajiado, Makueni, among others.
We are also expanding to bring others to really create jobs. For instance, one that we are just initiating is on feed production and commercialization. And again, it takes me to go back to livestock and say that because it's the livelihoods of our community, and we saw how much livestock we lost. If we really focus on feed production and commercialization, we can also create jobs. And again, I really want to target the young because we know that they are really challenged.
Taita Taveta Governor Andrew Mwadime acknowledged negative effects of climate change in the region and now appealed to development partners and the national government to invest in water infrastructure in his county.
Maji, 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 maji. This count, Mwenyezi Mungu amebariki, mchanga mzuri, ukiangalia tuko na scenarios mzuri, but what is finishing us is water. In fact, if you go look at the most endowed in terms of resources in this country, among a set of them, it is Taita Taveta. Lakini ukiangalia katika poverty index, Taita Taveta ndio iko chini kabisa. Kwa sababu we don't have even a single industry. We don't have any cash crop in this county. Hatuna mradi wote wa kuandika vijana wetu makazi. So naombeni sana hili swala la maji tulizingatie kwa kila namna.
While advocating for tree cover, the county boss says there is a need for government to have plans that will help trees planted in dry areas be grown and nurtured.
You have seen our county. I don't know what mathematics happened. This county, when we are young, water was all over. Out there, we have not touched the trees. But it's interesting, our rivers are dwindling. Our rivers is in a pool. That's why I was saying, in case of any project, because right now we want to do some more cover-up in terms of forestry, but we need water. We need water. If we can get anybody who can assist us with water, that is number one. In fact, even the government, I was asking them the other day, how come some areas in parts in Kenya, they're being irrigated? And some other parts of the country, after 50 years of independence, hata kupata maji ya kunywa ni matatizo. So ninaomba, I'm requesting, maybe with a team up there, as we are coming with this sustainable food and nutrition, kindly please consider water for Taita and Taveta.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Gloria Musimbi.
Thank you, Gloria, for that report. Now, that report by Gloria takes us to a fast news break here on Hope TV Newswatch. But immediately after the break, we'll be having a big discussion for tonight. Do you think Kenyans are paying more taxes in 2023? Talk to us on Twitter at HopeTV_KE and at Kennedy Kimani_. I'll be back shortly.
This week on Testify.
What had you applied to do in college?
Aeronautical engineering.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. So an engineer has decided, you know what?
Yeah.
We are serving Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. One day the Lord gave me an instruction that you guys preach a lot in the street. I want you to go to the street and praise me for 21 days. Non-stop.
Hope TV. Look and live.
Expect the unexpected on the Stars Show. It's forever enough, always enough. Anything goes from singing, dance to gymnastics to mind-blowing art. All you need is a skill and a star quality.
Make sure it is very straight and clean.
Just remember to join us every Saturday with me, your host, Tamika Arnett.
On to business, and Kenya's economy is expected to remain subdued in 2023, growing at a projected 5%, pulled down by a persistent rise in commodity prices, global events, and a high risk of debt distress. This is according to a report released on Monday by the Institute of Public Finance in collaboration with the Oxford Policy Management. Speaking during the launch of the report, the Chief Executive Officer of IPF, James Moragori, noted that while there have been efforts by the current government to tighten its fiscal policy, more needs to be done in terms of cautioning Kenyans against the runaway inflation, effects of the Russian-Ukraine war, and the depreciating value of the Kenyan shilling against the US dollar.
In the elevation of Kenya's debt distress, leading from medium to high. Moreover, the tightening of global monetary policy has created stringent financial conditions, thus prompting fiscal consolidation as the most viable solution for the government of Kenya. Going forward, the Institute of Public Finance outlines the following key issues to monitor, which are detailed in the macro-fiscal analytic snapshot for 2023. 1. Whether the government sticks to its fiscal consolidation plan. In addition to current projections, the government has stated that it intends to cut its expenditure in the supplementary budget for 2022-2023 by 300 billion, which is approximately 10% of the budget, to ease fiscal pressure. The feasibility and all realization of this austerity measure is a matter of great interest to this country. Number 2, whether projected increases in revenue come to pass. As a think tank, we are keenly looking at government's medium-term revenue projections that appear more realistic. However, based on past realities, especially the ambitious medium-term revenue strategy that intends to raise tax revenue to 25% of GDP by 2030, there is a lot of work that needs to be done to ensure our ordinary tax revenue are met.
Now to our main discussion for tonight. In the run-up to the August 2022 elections, President William Ruto gave a number of promises under his bottom-up economic plan. He unveiled a 5-point manifesto dubbed the plan, which he said will address Kenya's economic challenges. Now, as soon as he got into office, President William Ruto directed the National Treasury to cut the 2022-2023 budget by 300 billion shillings, which he believes will help the government save on recurrent expenditure. Tax reforms have so far formed a larger part of Ruto's economic policies as he pushes for the expansion of the tax base. Now, Ruto's government has been keen on increasing revenue collection and cutting budget spending as a way of taming the appetite for loans. This forms the basis of our discussion tonight. Do you think Kenyans are paying more taxes in 2023? Talk to us at HopeTV_KE and at KennedyKimani_ on Twitter. The hashtag to use is HopeTV Newswatch. Now in studio, I'm not alone. I'm joined by Eric Mukono, who is an economist and also a functional consultant at Great Tricks Africa. Karibu sana to the studio.
Thank you.
Well, before we get to a discussion, let me let our director, Mr. Davis, to play this clip of William Ruto today.
Barabara zilikwama kidogo kwa sababu pesa karibu mwaka moja na nusu hivi barabara hazijaendelea. Wakati tulifika tukasema hatutaki kuendelea na msururu wa madeni. Tunataka kusimamisha mambo ya madeni. Tunataka kupanga uchumi wetu tofauti. Na ndio mmeona imechukua muda kidogo tukipanga kwa sababu hatutaki kuweka uhuru wetu hatarini kwa kukopa madeni tukawa ni watumwa wa wale wametukopesha. Tunataka tupange vizuri, tuwe na rasilimali yetu, tukusanye kila ushuru ambayo sheria inatukubalia. Na mimi nataka niwashukuru wa Kenya. Pale tulikuwa tunapata 70%, saa hii imekaribia 90%. Na hata ushuru wa mwezi huu umepita ile ilikuwa imepangiwa, because Kenyans have decided to pay taxes because it is the surest way of financing our development and our progress. Na mimi nataka niwashukuru wa Kenya wote. Ile mimi nataka niwahakikishie ni kwamba hakuna mtu atakwepa kulipa ushuru kwa sababu ni rafiki wa fulani ama ni ndugu wa fulani ama anajulikana na fulani. Kila mtu atalipia ushuru wa taifa letu la Kenya ndio tuweze kusomesha watoto wetu, kujenga mabarabara, kuweka maji, kuweka stima, kuweka matibabu sawa ndio tuweze kwenda mbele kama watu wa taifa la Kenya pamoja.
Now, those are the sentiments of President William Ruto. And in every function this year and actually last year, since he got into office, he's been emphasizing on the need of Kenyans to pay taxes. And that's the big question for today. Do you think Kenyans have been overtaxed in this year? And Eric, let me engage you in this conversation. And let's begin from that point. Do you think Kenyans have been overtaxed?
Well, thank you, Kennedy, for having me here. Well, I do not think in any way Kenyans are getting overtaxed. What President Ruto's administration has done since they got to office is setting in measures to make sure they have curbed tax evasion. So what you're seeing now is just actually things may get even more worse in the coming days, as the CS for Treasury has said weeks ago. So I don't think that Kenyans are paying more taxes, only that President Ruto has made sure that the Treasury and the KRA have put in measures to curb tax evasion.
Well, let's look at the comparison between the Jubilee government, the Uhuru Kenyatta's government, and the Kenya Kwanza government. Mm-hmm. In the Uhuru government, we saw the government taking the route of getting more loans, which made our country get into debts. But we see William Ruto coming in the government and using a different formula. Is now asking each and every Kenyan to pay their taxes so as to cut the appetite for loans and reduce the debt burden in our country. Which route do you think, according to you as an economist, is the right way to go as a country? Do we continue with the Uhuru Kenyatta way of getting more loans, or do we pay taxes so as to evade and cut the appetite for loans, as the president says?
Well, for some reason, during the last term of President Kenyatta and the very last days of President Kenyatta, we had so many complaints of every time he goes out of the country, he has to come back with something. Sometime I saw some joke that he has gone to Jamaica and he had to play some tricks to just talk Jamaican so that he gets some money. But Ruto has come in and one of the things that he made very clear during the address to Parliament and Senate, the joint sitting between Parliament and the Parliament and the Senate, was that we are not going to borrow as a country. We are not going to borrow to fund public recurrent expenditure, because that is not a route that, as an economy and as an economy that wants to grow, that we should take. And so we have been borrowing to do projects, whereas I believe and is Ruto's opinion that we can finance our own projects and development projects. Recently, he stopped the Maimahio Road, that was Mau Summit Road. Yeah, sorry, Mau Summit Road. That was to eat into a lot of money, which is borrowed money. Research right now shows that for every 100 shillings that Kenyans pay, that the KRA get on revenue, for every 100, 60 shillings go to repayment of our borrowings and our loans.
That's 60%.
That's 60%, a very huge figure, which I personally don't believe that's a way we should go as a nation. And so one of the things he has been emphasizing on is that, and I'm sure where Ruto is right now, I want to just bet that he has the KRA's Director General's Commissioner give him Boro's phone number on speed dial, so that he keeps reminding him every day that we have given you a target as KRA that you need to collect by the end of this financial year. We need you to collect 3.3 trillion, And you see, this is double the amount that KRA corrects, currently. And so they are on pressure, And so going forward, we may get it a bit rough, but it is only for a season.
Because I remember the Treasury CS.
Yes.
In an event last week, he told Kenyans to brace themselves for tougher economic times ahead.
Yes.
And you've seen the Kenyan shilling depreciate to 124.
Yes.
Against the US dollar.
Yes.
I mean, let's put this in a way the common mwananchi can understand.
Mm-hmm.
During the pre-election, we saw President William Ruto, the then deputy, running on the tag Hustler Nation.
Mm-hmm.
That this government is going to be created by the hustlers, and that they are going to reduce the cost of unga, the basic commodities of life.
Sure.
But months after Ruto was sworn into office, I mean, we've not seen greater change, from the previous regime. The taxes are going high, fuel prices are increasing. I mean, what's the future like?
Well, one thing I love the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, for some reason. He's the only true Kenyan in this nation who, he said for him in this administration, it's about talking the truth. And you see, when he came in, one of the things he said is that kazi yangu ni kuongea ukweli na sisi tutaambia Wakenya ukweli. And one of the things he said that, when during the last term of President Kenyatta and the very last days, as is, we really do not know whether this was the truth, but Ruto was not really part of this government. And so they didn't really know about the financial situation. And Gachagua told us that whatever they came and found in there, they didn't think that the situation was that bad, And to some extent, I kind of believe them, And what these guys were doing in the previous regime, you cannot subsidize. You cannot subsidize output. You cannot subsidize unga, because you also saw it was not something that lasted. I looked for that 100 shillings. I never found it. I'm sure, I don't know whether you eat unga or you eat ugali, but
I'm a normal Kenyan.
Okay.
It's my favorite meal.
Okay. But Ruto comes in with another narrative of we want to subsidize inputs. We want to subsidize production. We want to subsidize the cost of fertilizer. Because that in the long run will make the cost of inputs, the cost of unga come down, And for President Kenyatta, this was only a campaign strategy that will bring this down, and then, you're going to give us votes because, we have brought the price of commodities down, which really didn't work. And just to your question, why I brought in Gachagua is because the situation may not really change. The price of commodities, this will take building an economy may take quite some time.
So actually, let's say the narrative hustle the nation, and in 100 days it was just political rhetoric.
That was pure politics. That was pure politics.
Imagine after 100 days, I remember William Ruto saying that some things are hard to deal with. So give us another in 1 year's time.
True.
So after 1 year elapses, and the situation is not the same,
I still can promise you we may not see much even after a year. This may take close to 3 years, before we stabilize back our economy, before we get our shilling back, the strength of our shilling against the dollar quite strong. It may take quite some time, Recently, they brought in the conversation of, and you asked about tax, and I told you about Ruto is trying to close in the gaps to tax evasion. They brought in the narrative just last week, the narrative of they want to close they want to get into mobile money transactions.
Mobile money transactions.
Which is quite interesting because if we really want development as a country, every time when we have politics, we have people crying that we want roads, we want water, we want electricity, we want infrastructure. And you see, for the government to fund all this infrastructure, you and I must pay taxes, And we must make sure that we tap into every avenue of revenue as a nation. Every avenue as a nation. And so, part of the reason why the government wants to integrate the systems of the KRA to those of M-Pesa, to those of Kenya Power, and to those of landlords, is so that they are able to track, your transactions. Because you find guys here every other day they are in Mombasa, every weekend, transacting.
Soft life.
Yes, soft life. It's a pure soft life. But you see, when it comes to filing taxes, they are filing nil returns.
Allow me to interject you on that.
Yes.
And it's an issue that has made many Kenyans talk on social media. Maybe to bring it to the light. And KRA is said to, track mobile money transactions in tax cheat spot. And KRA will be tracking the 16% value-added tax on sales, as well as the 20% excess duty charge on transactions. And customers will also pay a 20% excess duty on airtime. For the common mwananchi, because many have been saying, we are going to be taxed our airtime, our everything. Kindly explain to the common mwananchi, what does this mean for them?
Well, this is only a measure. Really, they are not coming into your transactions to get money from you. Part of what they are doing is to just make sure that when they look at your transactions and the taxes that you pay are similar. They are matching. That if you're making transactions of over 200,000 shillings per month, when they look at your tax payment, they are able to track that in all these transactions, this person has been paying his taxes. That is all they are trying to do when they try to say, we want to get into your mobile money, to track your mobile money transactions. So really, it's not something that really should worry people as long as you pay your taxes as you have always been paying. So really, it shouldn't be much of a worry unless you are a tax evader. Ruto is on your neck. Yes,
now,
he's looking for you.
Talking about transactions, and recently we saw the mobile to bank transactions, the levies were brought back. Do you think that many Kenyans will now opt for cash instead of mobile money transactions? Let me give you an example. I've been to this, market in Nairobi. It's famous, and when you go shopping over there, they don't accept M-Pesa.
True.
You have to give cash, or if you are to withdraw, they'll take it to an M-Pesa shop. For you to withdraw the cash and pay on cash. Do you think Kenyans will evade these mobile to bank transactions?
True. We were having a conversation in one of my colleagues in the office today called Jean. And yes, she has kind of a business, and I was trying to just drill down to what will happen just in case KRA now wants to even track down what she does. And she told me plainly and boldly that I will not allow my customers to pay me through M-Pesa. I'll have now to, if the government goes that way, we now devise better ways of trying to evade some of these things. And so in the coming days, we'll see more cash transactions. But then as well, we cannot evade M-Pesa. We may not evade M-Pesa as much and those online and mobile transactions. Yes.
Yeah. We saw the IMF, International Monetary Fund, raise concern on Kenya's debt, which stood at 8.7 trillion as of October last year. Do you think this is one of the reasons as to why President William Ruto is trying as much as possible to stop getting loans from outside, and go the tax way?
Oh yes. Our debt is at a very bad situation, Ken, let me tell you. The recommended ratio of our debt to GDP is 50%. We are at should be 64.5% or thereabout, which is a really bad figure. We are up by more than 10%. Quite bad. And this was quite a nice move by President Ruto. Recently, they moved the debt ceiling, and what has been happening, including in President Kenyatta's regime, that when we hit the debt ceiling is up to where an economy is allowed to borrow, and so it was moved to 10 trillion, so that it allows the government to continue borrowing, which is because we cannot rely on debt. Relying on loans and some of these things are not sustainable for an economy, as I told you earlier. And that is why President Ruto is constantly urging Kenyans on savings and paying of taxes. I want to give you a story. Let me give you a story of why President Ruto, is quite motivated on tax payment. Recently, last year, I got a job offer with an international company. And part of the discussion, of course, as we were trying to negotiate on the salary, they told me, now, Eric, we are going to offer you this much, but then, for us, we do not deal with KRA. So we will pay you, but then you are going to deal with KRA on your own.
So you have to pay.
So you have to pay your taxes, And we have a number of people who are paid through M-Pesa, and that was one of the means that is one of the means of tax evasion. And how many companies do you think we have? Such companies we have in Kenya that are evading tax, that are evading pay, And how much money as a country are we losing in terms of in tax evasion, And some of those loopholes are the loopholes that this administration and Ruto, I can bet you that this week is not going to end again without President Ruto talking about tax evasion again. I can tell you as well, next week he's still also going to talk about taxes. Because that is the route that he has chosen to go, and I believe that is a route that as an economy we should go. Because it is not advisable for a country to run on on loans.
Well,
which
you
is not
see,
sustainable.
allow me to do a comparison.
Okay.
In the Jubilee government, we saw the then President Uhuru Kenyatta justifying taking loans as a means of development, saying that even the US nation, they take loans, they have lots of loans compared to us. But then when you see the development, Kenyans were complaining, why is the development? Yes, you take a lot of loans, but do we see the development? Now with Ruto making us pay more taxes, do you think you're going to see the development yet? Or is it going to be the same issue, but a different case scenario of taxes instead of loans?
In President Ruto's administration, and especially in the first 3 or 5 years, we may not see as much development if he truly is going the way of not borrowing. We may not see as much development.
In 3 to 5 years?
Yes, in 3 to 5
So meaning the whole of his
the whole of his tenure, we may see...
First term, that
Yes. We may see very, very, very little developments if he indeed is not going to go the borrowing way. President Kenyatta chose to go the borrowing route. He chose to go the borrowing route. He built the expressway. He built he renovated the JKIA and so many things. But interestingly, President Kenyatta is gone, and his administration is gone. But we have, as Kenyans, we are going to suffer the consequences of the loans he took, because as I told you, one of the researchers. Out of 100 shillings, 60 shillings go to borrowing, to the repayment of loans, and that is why we constantly, we do not see development, but then we are still paying more taxes, because we have to finish up on these loans. Our port is at risk. When this government came in, the first thing that CS Murkomen, when he came to office, he said, I want to put the deal that was there about the expressway and the port, we want to make it public, And those are some of the things that as Kenyans we are dealing with out of what President Kenyatta's government did in terms of borrowing, But then we may get ourselves in the next 3 years, things may not be as we wish and as we want. Ruto is going to be on our neck. Njuguna Ndongo is going to be on our neck. Githu Mburu is not going to spare us. The KRA Commissioner General, he's not going to spare us. So things may get worse. Yes.
So in short, Kenyans need to brace themselves for tough economic times ahead.
Yes. When I read the article, it is one thing when another Kenyan tells you that we brace ourselves for a tough economic times. It is one thing when you tell me that, and it is another thing when Njuguna Ndongo, the CS Treasury, tells you brace yourself for a tough economic time ahead. So when it comes from the CS himself, he knows it is going to be tough indeed.
Wow.
Yes.
What a way to end the conversation. That has been Eric Omukono, an economist and a functional consultant at Great Tricks Africa. Kenyans expect tougher times ahead. Well, that has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for keeping tabs to it. I'll be back after this short news break with the sports news. Don't go too far.
This week on Testify.
What had you applied to do in college?
Aeronautical engineering. Yeah.
Okay, so an engineer has decided, you know what?
Yeah.
We are serving Jesus, okay.
Yeah. One day the Lord gave me an instruction that you guys preach a lot in the street. I want you to go to the street and praise me for 21 days. Non-stop.
Hope TV. Look and live.
Expect the unexpected on the Stars Show.
It's forever enough, always enough.
Anything gymnastics to mind-blowing art. All you need is a skill and a style quality.
Make sure it is very straight and clean.
Just remember to join us every Saturday with me, your host, Tamika Anet.
The Asian community in Kenya has been nationally recognized as the 44th tribe of the people of this great nation.
Many of which who have already been exposed to the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Starting this January, every third Thursday of the month, we bring you Asia Testify,
where we will be listening to life-transforming stories of Asian believers who have walked with the Lord. Only here on Hope TV. Look and live.
Welcome back to some sporting action now. And the NCBA local tour junior golf tournament came to a close on Sunday with a thrilling final round at the Muthaiga Golf Club. The 8-leg tour, which began in November last year, aimed to promote junior golf in the country. In the boys 15 to 18-year-old category, Krish Shah emerged victorious with 80 gross points, followed by Kevin Anien with 85. The girls category saw Mariam Wakitawa as the star among the 15 to 18-year-olds, having scored 84 gross points, followed by Antonia Mbudia, who scored 88. The tour, which was held during the school holidays, featured 8 events played across Thika, Windsor, Karen, Muthaiga, Royal, Sigona and Vet Lab golf clubs.
With US Kids have designed a system called the long leaf system that gives T systems that work depending on the age. And because of that, kids are encouraged because they can be happy getting the pass and getting the buddies. More importantly, US Kids hosts the World Championship of Golf, and working together gives an opportunity for the East African kids to go to the World Championships in Pinehurst, USA. And so we're working together, and this is now the local tour that we're doing, and the winners of the local tour will qualify to participate in World Championships at Pinehurst in the USA. It's coming along extremely well. We launched the NCBA series during COVID in 2021, and during that time it was difficult to find the number of kids to fill a field. In fact, we used to be given only the mornings of every club. Today in Muthaiga, we have had 175 participants, and that is after turning away, unfortunately, a lot of kids who wanted to play. We have had 8 tournaments during this series, the local tour, in 8 different clubs, and we have seen close to 1,000 kids participate. So I must say it's coming along extremely well.
Now, KCB women's volleyball team recorded its second win after seeing off Kenya Prisons 3-0 in the Kenya Volleyball Federation League KVF playoffs played at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. The African Queens won by sets of 25-21, 25-22 and 25-17 to earn 5 points and storm into their last match against Kenya Pipeline tomorrow afternoon.
Game ya leo imekuwa poa, kila kitu imewaka. Service imekuwa poa, kama jana tumelose like 7 services, but ilipitia asubuhi tukuja mazoezi na tukawako na wa services, and then after yesterday game tulikaa chini kama ladies tukaongea tukasema hiyo imeenda, so we have to focus kwa sababu tukilose game ya leo itakuwa picha mbaya na sisi ni African champions. Halafu another thing ile nimetupatia morale ni kwa the Soya Wat team of the year, and then also our coach akakuwa the coach of the year, so ili tupatia morale. And then Prison ni team strong, so tulikuja tukijua we have to win.
The only thing that we have to do now is to concentrate and use the same tactics that we had today so that we can manage to meet Pipeline and, if possible, to beat them. We know they are a strong team. They beat also these champions, Prisons, yesterday. We still have a lot of work to do. The remaining thing is to team to relax now.
Moving on, KCB RFC claimed its 7th win in the ongoing Kenya Cup season, edging out varsity side Strathmore Leos 33-18 are the done to maintain their position at the top of the table. Speaking after the game, KCB RFC assistant coach Dennis Mwanja lauded his side for fighting back after their second half slip that saw their opponents take an 18-14 lead.
Going into the game is all the hard work that I've put in place. I easily go in vain. I mean, I believe I'm a very good player. We are a very good team now. We have all it takes till the last minute.
At some point, it looks like a game that was gone, but character carries the day. A win is a win at the end of the day, and I cannot say we played to the best of our abilities because when Strathmore asked the questions, we didn't have all the answers. We also had unforced errors that costed us, which translated into pressure. But given we still got back when our backs were against the wall, we're happy with the win.
And to some football action, and Diamond Football Club and Swedish School were crowned winners of the under-18 boys and girls respectively at the Standard Chartered Cup 2023, a tournament held in partnership with Diamond FC Club at Roslyn Academy. The seven-a-side tournament consisted of various selected group of schools and football academies in the country.
We had over 360 athletes between the ages of under 18 and under 15 who've just competed for, well, since 9 o'clock, and it's about 3 o'clock right now. I think everyone's had a lot of fun. We've got a great chance to give, talented players a great opportunity to expose themselves, to showcase themselves. So overall, we're very happy about the way the tournament went.
And to some FKF Premier League action, and KCB FC was forced to settle for a goalless draw against visitors Ulinzi FC during the FKF Kenya Premier League clash at Kasarani Stadium on Sunday, extending their bunkers' unbeaten run to 5 games. Head coach Zedekia Otieno noted that his side failed to be clinical up front after missing out on open chances that will have propelled his side to the top of the KPL table. KCB is now second on the log with 22 points, 1 point behind leader Tusker FC, which reclaimed its spot on the KPL log after a 1-0 win over Sofapaka. And that story brings us to the end of our news tonight. Many thanks to you for watching Hope TV Newswatch. On behalf of the whole crew that made this bulletin a success, have yourselves a blessed night. My name is Kennedy Kimani, and Boniface Muridi has been the sign language interpreter.